Oh, no, me and Barney's just doing a little inventory.
Andy Griffith was born on June 1st, 1926, in the small town of Mount Airy, North Carolina. To the world, he would become the face of comfort, the gentle sheriff of Mayberry, who made people feel at home in their living rooms every Monday night. But behind that warm smile and calm voice, Andy grew up in a world very different from the one he would later show on television. His parents, Carl Lee Griffith and Geneva Nunn Griffith, were hard-working people trying to make ends meet during tough times. Carl worked as a carpenter and later as a house painter, but steady work was never easy to find. The family's life was modest, and at times they lacked basic conveniences like an indoor bathroom. Growing up during the Great Depression, Andy saw poverty up close. It shaped him in ways that would stay with him his entire life. Other kids in Mount Airy noticed his family's situation, and Andy often became the target of bullying at school. He was teased for his clothes, for being different, and for the quiet, awkward way he carried himself. It was not just playful teasing, it was relentless, and it left deep emotional scars. Being laughed at every day, feeling like an outsider, Andy learned early that the world could be cruel, and he began to understand that laughter could be a weapon as easily as it could be a gift. In those lonely times, he found refuge in two things: music and faith. Andy taught himself to play the guitar and the banjo, losing himself in melodies that gave him peace. Music became a place where he could express himself without fear of judgment. At the same time, he became deeply involved in his local church, and even considered becoming a Moravian minister. That calling gave him a sense of purpose, and a way to belong to a community that had otherwise rejected him. Andy joined drama and music programs, where he discovered that he could capture attention and make people feel something with his performances. No longer just the poor kid from the wrong side of town, he was the one who could make people laugh and think, who could hold a stage. This was the start of a journey that would lead him far from Mount Airy. After high school, Andy attended the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, initially studying to become a minister, but his love for music and performance grew stronger. He graduated in 1949 with a Bachelor of Music degree and began teaching music and drama at Goldsboro High School. By day, he guided students. By night, he performed monologues and humorous sketches at local clubs and churches. His big break came in 1953 when he recorded a monologue called "What It Was Football," a funny story told from the point of view of a naive country preacher attending his first college football game. The record became a massive success, selling over 800,000 copies and launching Andy into the national spotlight. From there, his career took off. He moved from small clubs to summer stock theater, eventually landing a starring role on Broadway, in No Time for Sergeants. His performances caught the eye of Hollywood, leading to a dramatic role in the film A Face in the Crowd, where he showcased a different side of himself, drawing on the anger and ambition that had shaped him since childhood. By the early 1960s, Andy Griffith had become one of the most trusted faces on American television. The Andy Griffith Show premiered in 1960 and quickly became a beloved institution. For 8 seasons, Andy played Sheriff Andy Taylor, the kind-hearted, wise, and calm father figure in the small town of Mayberry. He was the man everyone wished they had in their own family. But behind the cameras, life was more complicated. While Andy was the star of the show, he sometimes felt overshadowed by his co-star Don Knotts, who played Deputy Barney Fife. Knotts was a comedic genius and a scene stealer, and while Andy valued the friendship and energy, he occasionally felt frustrated that the spotlight did not always land on him. Nevertheless, the show was a massive success and made Andy a household name. Fame brought its own pressures, long hours, and expectations, but it also allowed Andy to reach millions of people with the gentle wisdom and humor that had grown out of his childhood struggles. Even with this success, Andy faced personal challenges. His first marriage to Barbara Bray Edwards which had begun while he was still in college, was a loving partnership in the early years. Barbara was a talented singer and performer who understood Andy's world and supported his dreams. The couple wanted children, but faced difficulties, so they chose adoption, raising a son, Andy Samuel Griffith Jr., and a daughter, Dixie. Their family life seemed ideal on the surface, but as Andy's career soared, the pressures of fame and the demands of the show caused strain. Long filming schedules and the spotlight on Andy made the couple grow apart over time. Despite 2 decades of marriage, Andy and Barbara divorced in 1972. It was a painful ending to a long chapter in his life, marking a turning point as he entered a period of personal and romantic turbulence. Following this, Andy married Selika Kosut, a Greek actress, but that marriage lasted only 6 years. It ended in 1981, again highlighting how fame, work pressures, and personal differences could challenge even the strongest of bonds. It was not until his marriage to Cindy Knight in 1983, nearly 3 decades into his career, that Andy found lasting stability. Cindy was 27 years younger than him, but their connection ran deep. She understood the demands of his life, saw past the Andy Taylor persona, and became a true partner in all aspects of his life. Together, they weathered both professional triumphs and private sorrows, building a life filled with love and mutual understanding. Even as Andy Griffith found success on television, his personal life was marked by challenges and heartbreak that no audience could see. He loved being a father, and raising Sam and Dixie brought him joy and meaning. But his greatest test as a parent came when Sam, his adopted son, began struggling with alcoholism and substance abuse. These private battles were devastating for Andy, who had spent decades portraying a father who always knew the right words, a man who could guide and protect his family. In real life, he could not solve these problems in 30-minute episodes. Despite his best efforts, Sam's addiction grew, and Andy had to watch helplessly as his son suffered. Sam eventually passed away in 1996 at the age of 38, leaving a wound that would never fully heal. For Andy, the loss of Sam overshadowed every professional triumph, every personal achievement, and even the difficulties of failed marriages. Friends and family noticed a change in him. The warmth that had always come so easily on screen became harder to access in his private life. Cindy Knight, his third wife, stood beside him, offering love and support, but grief of this magnitude is heavy, even for the most caring partner. Around the same time, Barbara Bray Edwards, Andy's first wife, faced her own health struggles and eventually passed away in 1980 at the age of 53. Barbara had lived quietly after the divorce, dedicating herself to raising the children and keeping them safe from public scrutiny. Like Andy, she bore private pain, especially regarding the struggles of Sam. Her death was a reminder of the fragility of life and the private tragedies that can occur even behind public images of success. Through these hardships, Andy continued to work, but his career, too, had its own challenges. After leaving The Andy Griffith Show in 1968, he struggled to find roles that would resonate with audiences. Variety shows, television movies, and new series failed to capture the same magic as Mayberry. He became a victim of his own success, so associated with one iconic character that audiences could not see him as anyone else. These years of uncertainty stretched through the 1970s and early 1980s, leaving Andy professionally adrift. Financial pressures also added stress, as acting is an unpredictable profession even for famous actors. Contracts needed negotiation, work was not always steady, and he had a family to support. But in 1986, nearly 2 decades after leaving Mayberry, Andy found a new chapter of success with the television series Matlock. Playing the folksy but shrewd lawyer Ben Matlock, he once again captured audiences' hearts. Unlike Andy Taylor, Matlock had an edge and operated in a more complex world of crime and courtroom drama. Yet the same calm authority and charm that made him Sheriff Taylor beloved were still there. Matlock ran for 9 seasons, reintroducing Andy to a new generation and providing him with renewed professional validation. Throughout all of this, Andy faced the natural challenges of aging. He battled cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and high blood pressure. In 2000, at the age of 74, he underwent quadruple heart bypass surgery. Though he recovered, his body was never the same, and he gradually needed help with mobility. In his final years, he and Cindy lived quietly on Roanoke Island, North Carolina. Despite declining health, Andy's spirit remained, and he cherished the peace of his home and the support of his loving wife. Yet even in these quieter years, the memories of loss, especially the death of his son and first wife, remained with him. These private sorrows shaped the man who had spent decades comforting the nation as a fictional father figure. His life reminds us that behind every public persona there is a human being with struggles, grief, and resilience. Andy carried these experiences quietly, rarely speaking to the media about them. His legacy, therefore, is twofold: the joy and comfort he gave audiences through his work, and the personal strength he exhibited while navigating profound personal loss. The contrast between the public image of Andy Taylor and the private life of Andy Griffith illustrates the complexity of life behind fame. Audiences celebrated a gentle sheriff, but in private, Andy faced challenges far greater than any TV script could depict. He endured the heartbreak of divorce, the pain of his son's struggles and death, and the loss of a former partner, all while continuing to perform and entertain generations of viewers. These layers of experience made him more than a beloved television figure. They made him human. Andy's journey demonstrates that life is rarely as simple as it appears on screen. Success and fame do not protect one from grief, loss, or personal hardship. And even when life deals unimaginable blows, finding love, connection, and purpose can provide a measure of healing. Cindy Knight became that anchor for Andy in his later years. Their marriage lasted nearly 3 decades, providing companionship, love, and stability. Though they had no children together, their partnership was deep and meaningful, showing that family and connection can take many forms. Through their shared life, Andy found comfort in his later years, even as age and illness began to take a toll. He spent time reflecting on his career, enjoying the beauty of North Carolina's coast, and maintaining privacy and peace away from public scrutiny. Even amid grief and personal trials, he carried forward the values that had guided him since childhood: kindness, perseverance, and a dedication to others. These qualities were evident not only in his performances, but also in the way he lived his life, quietly navigating struggles that remained invisible to most. Andy Griffith passed away on July 3, 2012, at the age of 86, in his home on Roanoke Island. His death was peaceful, surrounded by family, and in accordance with his wishes for privacy. There was no public funeral or celebrity procession, just a simple burial on his own property. This quiet ending reflected the way he lived, with dignity, humility, and a desire for simplicity. While the nation mourned Andy Taylor and Ben Matlock, the man himself had already endured far more than the world could see. His life had been filled with triumph and tragedy, joy and sorrow, all woven together into a story far richer than any television episode could portray. Reflecting on his legacy, it is clear that Andy Griffith achieved something rare. He provided comfort, laughter, and wisdom to millions of people over decades. Through his performances, audiences experienced the warmth of Mayberry and the cleverness of Matlock. Yet he also showed resilience in private life, managing grief, illness, and personal struggles with quiet strength. The losses of his son Sam and first wife Barbara left permanent marks, but he continued to find meaning in love, family, and his work. Andy's third marriage, to Cindy Knight, was a testament to the possibility of finding peace later in life. Their partnership endured through professional ups and downs, health challenges, and the inevitable effects of aging. Cindy supported him, understood him, and helped maintain the life he had built. Their relationship showed that love and companionship can provide solace, even when life has been filled with hardship. Beyond television and personal triumphs, Andy's story is one of resilience. He transformed the pain of childhood bullying into performances that connected deeply with audiences. He navigated the complexities of fame, professional typecasting, and the pressures of being a public figure. He faced personal loss with dignity, and through it all, he remained a figure of empathy, wisdom, and warmth. Andy Griffith's legacy continues to inspire. His life reminds us that behind every public figure lies a human story, often filled with challenges unseen by the world. His ability to bring joy to others while privately managing grief and adversity demonstrates remarkable inner strength. For fans of Mayberry or Matlock, it is easy to remember only the fictional worlds he inhabited. But understanding the real Andy Griffith, his childhood, his career struggles, his marriages, his family, and his personal losses, adds depth to the admiration. It shows that his achievements were not merely the result of talent, but also of perseverance, resilience, and a lifelong dedication to connecting with others. His story encourages reflection. How do we support those who bring joy to others? How do we honor the lives behind the public personas we celebrate? Andy Griffith's life offers lessons about love, loss, family, and the human spirit. His dedication to his craft, his ability to comfort and entertain, and his personal courage in facing profound grief are all part of a legacy that endures. Even in death, his influence remains. His work continues to bring joy to new generations, while his personal story offers inspiration about overcoming challenges, valuing relationships, and living with dignity. From the small town of Mount Airy to the hearts of millions, Andy Griffith left an indelible mark on American culture. His life was not without tragedy, but it was also filled with moments of triumph, love, and connection. It is a story worth remembering, not just for the television shows or films, but for the man who lived fully, loved deeply, and faced the hardships of life with grace. As we reflect on his journey, we see the complexity of human experience. We see the importance of family, the power of resilience, and the impact one person can have on the lives of millions. Andy Griffith's story is a reminder that while life brings both joy and sorrow, we can find meaning in the way we face challenges, nurture relationships, and bring light to others. His life, with all its triumphs and tragedies, remains an enduring testament to the human spirit and the legacy of kindness, wisdom, and courage. So whether you remember him as Sheriff Taylor, Ben Matlock, or the man behind the roles, Andy Griffith's story is one of perseverance, love, and quiet strength. A life well lived and a legacy that will continue to inspire for generations.